Back when I was a teenager, all the rage at that time dealt with Reagan's notions on economics. The old trickle-down economics notion that if we were to allow some of the benefits be given to the people at the top of the pyramid, that those benefits would then trickle down. There was a lot of press and a lot of ridicule over that. But I was just thinking, it makes me wonder if those people who thought that the trickle-down economics and Reaganomics and the voodoo economics, those people who viewed those as a failure, are now realizing that that's in essence what they've done with the bailouts. Bail out these big industries and these big corporations, specifically the financials and such like that, in hopes that the effects would then trickle down to the average man on the street, i.e. voters. I find a hypocrisy in that whole notion. But even more so, if they're even going to embrace even that small bit of trickle down to keep people from going bankrupt and to keep the employment up and such like that, be aware of this. When they were giving out the bailout money, certainly there were strings attached. And a lot of corporations got a lot of bad press because of some of the things that they would normally take for granted as part of their business. For example, some of their business meetings and such like that. You've probably heard about some of these business people, your industrialites, and your financial people flying to congressional meetings in their private planes and all the flack that was associated with that. Well, consider what has now happened. A lot of your corporate and business meetings, which were, considered to be a bit lavish, and got a lot of bad press because, well, these are the same companies that got billions of dollars. How dare they spend money on some big fancy resort? But now consider what's happened to these resorts. It's been reported in today's news that a lot of these reports in your hospitality business is sinking. We've basically set up bailouts in order to protect the average person on the street, or at least that's what they believe to be. But with the strings attached to these bailouts, they've basically created a situation where other industries, which depended upon the largesse of corporate America, are now drying up. How many thousands of people are going to lose their jobs? Not because their corporations were greedy, but because their clients were perceived as being greedy and lavish. For a time, I worked in the hospitality business, and we're very sensitive to economic change. And if corporate America is perceived to having to tighten its belt in order to look good, well, who's getting strangled by that belt? It's not corporate America. It's the people who depend upon them for their jobs. Earlier, I'd commented on how these bailouts were bad. I still hold on to that. If these corporations were spending money properly, they wouldn't need a bailout. Those corporations which were inefficient, they got to tighten their belts on their own. Just the fact that they got a bailout itself perpetuates their problems. And now let's consider what happened. The old notion of the devil's in the details. They accept the bailout, and so now they need to spend the money in a way that our government and our people and such like that, since it is public money, dictate how it should be spent. If the corporations were to take better care of their money, they would be in this problem. So I still hold on the notion of let the inefficient fail. Those who are efficient will take up the slack. Then we wouldn't have to worry about how the bailout money is being spent, because there wouldn't be any. And then these corporations that do survive would then have the liberty and leniency to spend the money as they see fit. And if it's lavishly and can still turn a profit, then those people in the hospitality business wouldn't be now walking the lines looking for a new job. Sometimes our best laid plans are what causes our problems.